All right, we'll call the City Council regular meeting agenda for Monday, November the 18th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. to order. If you'll all rise, I will lead in invocation. If you could do our pledges followed by the invocation. You'll bow your head and just take a couple moments to ask you to come and be a part of these proceedings. To go before us, to give us your mind, to give us your will, to give us your strength and your courage, Father, to be in this meeting and lead this city, be with each member of our council, each member of our staff, and certainly, Father, be with each member of the public who entrust us to be here doing the business of this city. As always, Father, we ask for complete protection of our first responders throughout this city, wherever they are, whatever they're doing at this moment in time and through this evening and through this week and all year round, just like we ask for complete protection of our men and women in military that protect us around this globe. Father, again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Be with us as we deliberate the business of this city, which in your name we pray. Amen. All right. Thank you, each and every one. Thank you for coming out tonight. This is your city hall. This is your city. And we appreciate you guys entrusting us with the operation of this council and ultimately what goes on in this city. With that, we'll move forward in our agenda. Roll call and certification of quorum. Madam Secretary, I'll certify we have a quorum present as all members are present with the exception of members Koza and Tuman. Mr. Koza is out of town. His daughter got married this weekend, so we wish them well. And Mr. Tuman has a business, had a previous business arrangement that he missed our first meeting. He will probably be late to this meeting. He's in another city on a project, and he's not quite up on the agenda just yet. So hopefully he'll be here shortly. With that, we'll turn to citizens' comments. We have people who have signed up to speak to a specific agenda item. When we get to those, we will call those names to come and speak at that particular time. And then we have a handful for general comments. With that, Mayor Pro Tem, turn that over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. First up, Dr. O. Jim said he sent the A-team. So thank you for being here. If you give us your name and address for the purpose of the record, and since you're representing the chamber, we'll limit your comments to 5 minutes.
Absolutely. Good evening, council, mayor, and all guests. My name is Alexander Okwana, 2004 Tall Timbers Lane, Pearland, Texas, 77581. I work for San Jacinto College, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as board chair for the chamber for 2024. And today it gives me immense pleasure to introduce the Leadership Pearland class of 2025. For those that are not aware, the Leadership Pearland is a program designed to develop emerging leaders and strengthen their commitment to civic leadership within the Pearland community. Our alum from this program have had a great track record of going on and doing some magnificent things in the Pearland community. And so today was Pearland Day. The class got to embark and learn all the different facets of the city, and they got to tour lots of different city facilities. And so the class is here today. They represent a vast array of businesses and industries within the Pearland community. And at this time, I would I'll ask them to come up and introduce themselves. If you can give your name and your organization.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Cook. I am with Pearland Economic Development Corporation.
Hello, my name is Sonia Cacique with Pearland Innovation Hub.
My name is Shannon Samuelson. I'm with the University of Houston Clear Lake Pearland campus.
Good evening, Sherilyn Brooks, Alvin Community College.
Good evening, my name is Stephanie Stewart. I'm with TDECU Credit Union.
Good evening, my name is Samantha Zweibel. I'm with HCA Pearland Hospital.
Hello, I'm Noelle Noble with TDECU Credit Union.
Hello, my name is Janelle Billy, and I'm with Anderson Hauser.
My name is Sasha Buckheit. I'm with the City of Pearland.
Hello, good evening. I'm with Memorial Hermann Pearland Southeast and Memorial Hermann League City Community Care Center.
Good evening, Erica Hurley, YMCA.
This is definitely a very, very impressive class. This is your time. Get your pictures, get your autographs now before they come big time. So, again, thank you, and we're glad to be here this evening. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. O. Thank you to the leadership class. Also, they finished their day here. Like I said, they started here on the complex and then went and did their tour throughout the city and then finished it today. And we all had dinner with them upstairs just before the meeting as well. And so, again, I want to thank you for spending your day here. Hopefully you learned things about the city of Pearland that maybe you didn't know before you started today. That's the hope of each place on your stop, each stop on your on your trek through the leadership class, and ultimately at the state capitol. So we'll go to Pearland Day in Austin here in February, and you guys will be leading out in that as well. So that'll be fun to go there. Do we have any other general comments? All right, all the other comments we'll call in the course of doing business under that particular item. So with that, we'll move to the consent agenda. Was there any items to be removed? Not seeing any. Ms. Chavarria, if you would present consent agenda items A through C.
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration, possible action, consent agenda A through C. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, call for the vote.
Member Chavarria?
Aye.
Member Byram?
Aye.
Member Cade? Aye. Member Patel?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Carbone?
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0.
All right, with that, we'll move to new business. Mr. Carbone, if you present item number 1, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration and possible action, Resolution R 2024-232. So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Quick staff report. We do have, I believe, somebody representing the contractor here to speak. That may be just here to answer questions if need be. So you want to bring him up now, or, yeah, go ahead and do that.
Chris Letter. Cedar, if you have any comments, or are you here to answer questions? Okay. Thank you for being here. We'll call you up to the podium if we have any.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. This item awards a construction contract for the widening of Smith Ranch Road from just north of the JCPenney's, where it goes from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, all the way to Hughes Ranch Road. So it'll complete that thoroughfare as a 4-lane facility. The project has been a long time coming. We received state and federal dollars through the HGAC Transportation Improvement Program many years ago on an 80-20 basis. And then later on, as some of the project cost increased just over time, we were able to secure some additional funds through HGAC, and $2 million were secured by Congressman Nels for community projects in our jurisdiction. So we did only receive 1 bid on this. However, it was 5% below the engineer's estimate. And going through the bids, everything looks good and correct. And the engineer, as well as TxDOT, has reviewed that and recommended award. Since we do have the state and federal dollars, we have to get TxDOT to sign off on the bids. So with that, we recommend awarding to Texas Sterling in the amount of just over $6.6 million. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you for that. Open up for questions, comments from council. Ms. Chavarria.
Thank you, Mayor. So what will be the impact when we do the expansion of 518? So will this be simultaneously? Are they different target dates?
Should be finished.
So I would expect this to be finished before 518 gets underway.
Okay, thank you.
Construction on this is probably just around a year.
Yeah, obviously, if you're down there at the corner in that light, you're going to have construction on one, and then you're going to turn right around and have construction on the other. But it'll be 2 different roads. But I would think they would be finished with one. Yeah, much needed, much long overdue. This is a product of going through the federal system, which is cumbersome. It takes a long time, but you and I locally don't pay near what we would pay for if we did this alone. So we have to outweigh that cost with the time element. Environmental process is probably the longest time coming. Other than that, I'm looking forward to getting this thing done and open. And that's a little donut hole in our city right over there that probably some good development could happen once the roadway is done. Last call for questions, comments. Seeing none, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Carbone,
Aye.
Member Chavadilla,
Aye.
Member Byram,
Aye.
Member Cade,
Aye.
Member Patel.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0.
All right, thank you for that. Thank you for Texas Sterling for being with us, and we look forward to a successful project. All right, with that, we'll move to public hearing number 1. This is public hearing 2 of 2, annexation and incorporation of Brazoria County Municipal Utility District number 16. With that, we'll start off with a staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to hand it over to Joel Hardy in just a second, but we just basically coming back for our second public hearing. We've updated some of the information based on our initial conversation and some additional correspondence and input from the MUD themselves. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Joel to present that information. Thank you.
Thank you, Trent. Mayor and Council, yes, this is the second and final of 2 required public hearings for the annexation process for MUD 16. We will cover some of the details information-wise that you've seen before, but just for information purposes, we'll reshare that. So again, location of the district is central to the city of Pearland. It's the rectangular-shaped area that's encircled with the red circle. It represents a part of the city, ETJ, that was formed in 1987. It developed to the extent that there are now 3 subdivisions in that area, 2 segments of Avalon Terrace and Lakeside Estates. The property account for utility purposes is set at 568 properties, and that brings us to about 1,647 residents in that area, primarily residential at this time, with property values anywhere from $350,000 up to $950,000. It's the location of Hickory Slough Sportsplex and the future site of an Asian town named Commercial Retail Development at the frontage of 518 south of the residential areas in the district. This area was the subject of a strategic partnership agreement between the city and MUD 16 in 2003. At that time, a limited purpose annexation was conducted with the intent for a full purpose annexation to occur not sooner than 10 years after the formation of that SPA. Again, want to point out that there is the residential development in the community has been completed. There is a commercial retail development that is pending. It's a 12.7 acre tract of undeveloped land right now that the future project will end result be 126,200 square foot of retail space that will be constructed in phases. And ultimately in 2027, 2028, we'll see the final product hit the ground. Just a little bit more information about the strategic partnership agreement. Again, that's per Texas Local Government Code. Chapter 43 is the area where municipal utility districts, special purpose districts are statutorily regulated in the state of Texas. That limited purpose annexation that occurred in 2003 with the SPA basically put into effect the normal annexation requirements that would go into place at the time. It also provided the context for the development of required facilities, the infrastructure, and any municipal services that would be provided for the area, and established the municipality's payments to the district for services provided by the district. It also contemplated that there would be a purchase of detention property and subsequent development of a recreation facility, and that's where you see Hickory Slough Park in that area. So we talk about the full purpose annexation of the district that is also included in the SPA. This section of the agreement just, this slide shows that language that allows us to annex upon the assumption of all debts, obligations, and liabilities of the district. And however, that we should not be able to annex the district in our boundaries at any time prior to the 10-year anniversary of the date set forth in the SPA. And I bring that up because there was a question about why we did not annex immediately thereafter in 2013, 2014. Well, the simple answer is that the district and the territory was not fully developed at that time. And the intended residential development did not conclude until sometime 2020, 2021. And I think in the aftermath of that, we analyzed this district alongside every other one that we look at on a regular basis to make sure that we're not missing any opportunities to address it, opportunities like the one that we're presenting right now. And again, I think now is the most practicable time for us to propose this action. And this just kind of restates the terms of a full purpose annexation and the requirements per the SPA. So the state does require beyond that we provide the notices to the public entities and the school district. We've conducted that activity and sent those out October 10th in compliance with the law. And the service plan development is in progress now per council direction to staff. And we're in the process of holding 2 public hearings. The next actions would be the annexation ordinances that are proposed to occur on December 9th and December the 16th at regular meetings of council. So the next few slides kind of get into the analysis that we've been conducting on an ongoing basis. And I want to start by saying that the MUD provided us with some specific information about their intentions where debt service tax rate long-term analysis was concerned. And that gave us the opportunity to be on the same page as what the forecast of that looks like over time. I will also say that there was no information provided as to what the O&M rate would do. So we kept that steady at 22 cents throughout the life of this model. But everything you see following this is predicated on the basis of the MUD's anticipated debt service tax rate. So with that, we were able to develop some clear assumptions that help us provide a stable analysis for our outlook. One is that the typical residential values in the areas represent $400,000 in the Avalon Terrace areas and $850,000 for Lakeside Estates. The model is predicated on a 3% annual growth in values. Again, that's per MUD 16. And just plugging those numbers into the model, if you look at MUD 16, that results in an 8 cent to 34 cent MUD 16 tax rate reduction over the life of the applicable debt series. Keeps the O&M rate flat at 22 cents. And this is also considering the MUD's stated tax rate collection at 97%. For the city of Pearland, you'll see a 9 cent tax rate reduction during that same period. And you'll also see these numbers calculated based on our 99.6 tax rate collection with the 2.5% homestead exemption we currently offer. Other assumptions are that the wastewater and water rates will, after 2032, I believe, begin to steady at a 3% annual inflation over the course of the debt series. So at some point, the water rate model should produce a lower percentage of increase on an annual basis, which will steady at the consumer price index. The model also contemplates that the annual water sewer savings for the 2 communities are based on actual bills and not the calculation of base rates. So we looked at an actual bill for a home the size of the $400,000 typical size, and the same for the $850,000 typical size in Lakeside Estates. And we concluded that fire service increase could be steadied at 7% annually for the sake of this model. I will say that fire service costs in regards to how we price and charge that service for other areas of the ETJ that are subject to our ESD relationships, those are much higher. So this rate is relatively modest when it comes to what we should be charging for that type of service. So put all those numbers into the rate model, if you will, and we are able to show that over the life of the debt service series, which goes on out to 2041, that Annexation continues to be a benefit for both typical properties in the area. And so going from 2024 all the way out to 2039, you will see that the current MUD resident benefits from the incorporation. And this, again, is based on the information that comes from the MUD as well as our assumptions for the city of Pearland. So if you do break it down, as we've shown before, to 2 specific properties in the area, this also demonstrates that there's an ongoing benefit for incorporation. And again, primarily due to the water sewer rate, because ETJ residents in MUD 16, per our policy, pay a 1.5 times the rate that City of Pearland in-city customers pay on a regular basis. We will provide the same municipal services to the MUD resident once they become incorporated into the city limits that we provide every other resident throughout the city. So there are no changes. Some of the things that they'll see that they don't have right now, police public safety from our police department, health inspections from our code enforcement division, the planning and permits and inspections resources that come out of community development. Again, in-city member rates at our parks facilities, as well as in-city rates for wastewater and water, and benefits also on the capital project side and public works. Our CIP program provides a robust opportunity for improvements in areas that are needed throughout the city, and the public works, street maintenance, and stormwater maintenance crews that ensure we have good transportation modalities throughout the community. So we've discussed with the MUD some of the ongoing projects that would need attention upon annexation, that would expect that we continue the agreements that have been formed to take care of certain maintenance items. The 4 that the MUD has already approved include a pipe replacement in Lakeside Estates detention channel, an asphalt overlay of the streets in that neighborhood, dislocation of the Avalon Terrace detention pond, and a relocation of some power poles in the drainage channel along Lakeside Estates. A couple of the deferred actions, I've noticed, and others may have, that the fencing around the Avalon Terrace area is in need of repair and replacement. So it's an obvious opportunity for us to, again, put measures in place to restore the integrity of that part of the community. And the pedestrian recreational tail proposal is something that would be along the Avalon Terrace detention pond and surround that area, and it's proposed at a cost of $443,000. Staff would recommend that we solidify the commitment to make sure these projects get completed in the community, and altogether they total $1.2 million, and we would present that to council at the December 16th regular meeting for the purpose of establishing an MOU between the city and the MUD. So just again, completed actions and next steps. We're at we've completed the first public hearing. Tonight's the second public hearing. And beyond that, December 9th would be the first reading of the annexation ordinance. And the night of December 16th, that second reading would occur, and as well as the memorandum of understanding for the approved and deferred projects. And for the sake of staff presentation, that concludes our information. We'll pass back the balance to council.
All right, Trent, does that conclude the staff's presentation?
Yes, sir. I think I would just, reemphasize that we've had a strategic partnership agreement in place with the MUD since it was formed, with the intention of the eventual annexation when the financials make sense, and that's what we're recommending this year. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Now, as part of this public hearing, we will present this open to the public to offer comment or testimony for this particular public hearing of annexation of Brazoria County MUD number 16. You can go to the podium, give us your name and address. You have 3 minutes to speak. Second call for those wishing to offer testimony at this public hearing. Here we go. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Cole, members of the council. My name is Vincent L. Johnson. I am a resident of Lakeside Estates. I live at 1901 Stone Grove Court here in Pearland, Texas. I've been a resident in that subdivision for 20 years. I've been a resident of Pearland since 1993. I guess the thing that I would like to stress on this proposed annexation is I would like to really stress that the council be sensitive to the availability of city services to the subdivision and the timeliness of when all of those particular services would be applied and would be available. My previous profession prior to retirement was an architect, and I retired from NASA. And I would just like to emphasize that I'm very well aware in terms of how a lot of annexations go and the timeliness of when the residents in those areas are impacted by that. And I would just like to stress that the council be sensitive to those particular needs.
Very good comment. And I'm actually going to use that as a question, staff, when we get to the question and answer part for the council. We'll make sure we answer that question. Third and final time, those wishing to offer testimony in this public hearing. Sir.
Yes. My name is Ivory Franklin, and I'm the HOA president of Avalon 2 and 1 subdivision. My concern, our eyesores, as Mr. Joel pointed out, is our perimeter fences. And I was just curious, will the city aid us with that if, once we annex, or where would that stand? The other thing is we have in Avalon 1, that's our oldest subdivision. There's a lot of, I don't want to make it sound bad for you, but there's some sidewalk issues with, water drainage and what have you. And in fact, we've attempted to repair these sidewalks, and we're still under, we're still trying to get it ready for you so it won't look so bad. But there's some that connects with the drainage itself. And so my concern there would be if and when we annex, where will we fit on presenting this to the city? Will we fall, back but behind the city now? In other words, if we get on the list to get some of these things done, or will we be just blend in as regular citizens? Right. Thank you.
Very good question. Good question to ask now. All right, last opportunity, offer testimony. All right, seeing none, we'll move forward to questions, comments, concerns from City Council. I'll just go ahead and put some of these questions that Mr. Franklin and Mr. Johnson actually put on the table. Very good questions. Joel, I think in your presentation, you talk about a list of services from the city that we will be providing. Can you walk through when those services become available?
So I think the best person to answer that question may be Mr. Coker, just along the lines of what the service plan looks like. I mean, generally speaking, as immediately as possible. I think we're already providing a lot of these services. So some of the things that would need to take place in order to accommodate the service plan are embedded in the statutory requirements. So Darren.
So yes, essentially this ordinance will take place 10 days after it becomes effective. 10 days after passage, and then it'll become effective. And so at that time, they will be receiving all city services at that point in time.
Okay. So same thing, fire department, day one, police department, day one, health inspections, day one, planning permits, inspections, in-city member rates, at Parks and Recreations, Capital, Public Works, street maintenance, storm sewer, or stormwater maintenance, utilities that already have water and sewer. So the rates would drop with that next billing, I would assume.
Yes, that's correct. Okay. Yeah, so the actual January 1st, the new water rate will go into effect for those residents.
And really, that goes,
Lakeside Estates.
One of the things that's not mentioned on here is like code enforcement and those types of things. So if there's a high weed, type of situation, or if there's, obviously you have an HOA, we got a member of the HOA here, and there's, we don't go in and enforce deed restrictions. That's for an HOA to do. We have zoning, but we can and do help in code enforcement type issues as well. So code enforcement is is also available day one upon annexation. So I hope that answers your question with full city services day one. And then I do want to answer Mr. Franklin's question. Perimeter fence, I think, Joel, the perimeter fence that's listed on the projects to be done, is that the perimeter fence? And Mr. Franklin, I'm going to ask you real quick, was that Avalon Terrace 1 or 2? Both. Okay. I got you. So same thing, Darren or Trent?
So I'll hand it back over to Joel, but we do have a list of improvements here that the district is either already in the process of making or wants to make sure are captured in the agreement as we go forward, so that dollars that the MUD already has can accomplish these. Does that cover everything there, Joel?
Yes,
Which
sir.
does include the Avalon Terrace fence replacement and repairs. There's $200,000 there, and I believe we got all of these estimates from the MUD.
I'll just ask Josh, the $200,000 for Avalon fence replacement repairs, is that the fence repairs he's referring to? I'll give you an opportunity to go there.
And just to elaborate, I think the agreement there would be that those funds would be made available to the HOA. The HOA would move forward with the project there. And then thereafter, the HOA would be responsible for the long-term maintenance, much like most of our subdivisions.
Well, like I said, this is a good time to answer and get these questions. Josh, well, go ahead and give your name and address for the record, if you would.
Josh Kahn, I'm the attorney for Missouri County MUD 16. Trent pretty much hit the nail on the head. The MUD hasn't taken action to give the money to the Avalon Terrace HOA yet. So those two items, the deferred action items, are still up in the air whether or not we're going to do it. There's also $15,000, I think, for the Lakeside Estates HOA that they've asked for. So the MUD meets on Wednesday night, and they'll decide if they're going to give the entire amount, none of the amount, or partial of the amount to both those HOAs.
Okay. All right. At least that's an answer for tonight. I think maybe more to come here later this week. Certainly by the time we get to ordinance 1 and 2, or reading 1 and 2 next month, hopefully we'll have those questions asked and answered.
Right. And we meet on Wednesday night, and so I'll send Joel and Darren an email Thursday morning and let them know what the MUD decided.
Good deal. All right, and then sidewalk issues, Trent, where would they fall? Obviously, I'm not sure what subgroup where our city, I know we're laid out in zones. I'm not sure where that falls and if we've done a windshield assessment of that.
So I believe we have done a windshield assessment, and Joel.
Yes, that's
can you elaborate
correct.
on
So
that?
Eric Hammond's group has actually gone out and done a windshield assessment of the sidewalks and streets and all that. So I think they have a compendium of information available for us to use to go back and determine what we can do there.
So Lorenzo, would they fall into a specific zone and that would be covered when that zone gets to, or?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay.
So right now, it looks like they would fall into Zone B.
B as in boy?
B as in boy, yes, sir. And so if they do become annexed, they would fall into that service area, and we pick them up, just like we prioritize the rest of the sidewalks, and we pick them up there. We've already done some preliminary, like Joel said, windshield assessment, so we kind of have an idea of what needs to be done there, and we just add them to the list.
So you'd fall into the area around you when we're in that particular area, in that sidewalk repair and maintenance program. We have our cities in different zones, so we attack a zone at a time, if you will. Josh?
Sure. One more thing. So the $200,000 that Avalon Terrace is asking for actually includes a lot of sidewalk repairs. I can't remember the exact amount, but it'd be, I don't know if y'all can share the areas that y'all think need improvement, and we can compare that to what Avalon Terrace gave us and maybe take care of some of those before annexation.
Yes, sir. We'll get that to you.
Good deal. All right, throw it open for questions, comments from council. Mayor Pro Tem?
While you're still at the podium, you said y'all meet Wednesday night?
Yes, sir.
Where's that meeting?
It is Billboard in Montrose, downtown.
Okay. That's the point of annexation. Is I'm glad everybody's here. Y'all can stay in your own city. You'll have a council up here representing you. We screw up, come stand at the podium and scream at us. Stay in your city. You don't have to drive to Montrose. And so I think it makes a lot of financial sense, the annexation, but that's the intangible piece of that you'll be electing fellow citizens, and you don't have to drive into Houston to get representation.
Ms. Cade?
I just, slide 14, I think it's about the Parks and Rec in-city member rates. Yeah, oh, it's right here. Right now, those areas, that area doesn't get in-city member rates. ETJ doesn't? No? And Parks and Rec, is that just the rec center, or what is that for park rentals, everything?
Yes, ma'am, it's everything.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll close this public hearing. Thank you guys for coming out. Great questions, gentlemen. Hopefully we get more questions or answers as we move forward in this process, but thank you for being out here tonight. All right, with that, we'll move to public hearing number 2. Martin, are you taking up these cases as staff report?
Yes, Mayor.
All right, take it away.
So this second public hearing, I was going to say first.
Public hearing number 2.
Public hearing number 2. This is a request by Louis Perret and Quang Nguyen, applicant and owner, for approval of a zone change for 4.9694 acres of land from the general commercial district to single-family estate RE district. This property is generally located north of Knapp Road, east of Main Street, here in Pearland. So to give a quick summary of this request, they are intending to develop some residential lots. They're proposing to subdivide this near 5-acre tract into 3 single-family lots for 1 single-family dwelling on each lot. We had several comments provided in support and one against. Of course, legal ads were posted and all of the normal procedures were followed. Taking a look at the future land use plan, we see this area as manufacturing and warehousing. And then surrounding, you have some single-family residences along the east, warehouses, office, and some undeveloped property, a large undeveloped piece of GC property to the north. Taking a look at the aerial, here you can see the proposed 5 acres for zone change. And then in staff's analysis, this does not meet the future land use designation, and it would not be compatible with the zoning that is requested or with the majority of the surrounding properties. Therefore, staff is unable to recommend approval of the RE zoning. And at the last Planning and Zoning Commission meeting where this was discussed, P&Z voted 0-7 to recommend approval of this request. With that, City Council would have a supermajority vote should they recommend approval for this. And we pass it back to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Martin. Is the applicant present? Do you have a presentation, or are you just here to answer questions? Sure. Just give us your name and address for the record and proceed with your presentation. Thank you for being here tonight.
Hello, City Council. My name is Quinn Nguyen. I live at 3531 Watsek Way, Pearland, Texas, 77581. So as your staff just went through, my husband and I purchased this, for simplicity's sake, 5 acres on Knapp Road with the goal of building our forever home and raising our family here. And although we initially sought a smaller plot, we've decided to purchase this land with the intention of splitting it into 3 lots to build single-family home. The Zoning Commission and staff opposed this idea at the last meeting primarily due to the concern that it doesn't align with the comprehensive plan for land use. Today, I'm asking the City Council to consider the possibility of repurposing this land for residential use rather than adhering strictly to the current existing plan. The main concern was alignment with the comprehensive plan. I understand it's true the comprehensive plan calls for commercial use, and as a family, we understand that it's important to stick to something that's been drafted. Otherwise, why draft something if you're not going to go buy it, right? However, this land's been undeveloped for over 30 years since it was platted in 1992. We're ready to develop it now and believe it makes sense to reconsider its use. Our plan involves building 3 homes, each around 3,000 to 5,000 square feet. Although the land doesn't have any protected trees on it, we're committed to preserving as many trees as possible and maintaining the integrity of most of this land. The noise concern was raised by the Zoning Commission, a focus on potential disturbances from Knapp Road. While it's true Knapp Road see occasional truck traffic, especially with tenants in the nearby warehouses, it remains a relatively quiet street outside of business hours. If this land were to develop as commercial, there would be a noise buffer required to protect the residential that's currently on the east side of this land, and I believe with our building plans, we would have more than enough land for our own barrier to meet that buffer requirement to ensure peace and comfort. Knapp Road is an ideal location given its proximity to the highway. It's one of the main reasons why we chose this land. While it's narrow, we agree that trucks can pass by easily, and we've seen commercial activities here without any issue. With that said, there are current vacant warehouses on Knapp, and additional large trucks passing through can cause disruption, especially with nearby neighborhoods that are already there. There are also signs prohibiting large trucks from turning onto Knapp Road from Telephone, which indicates this road is not equipped for industrial use. Flooding concerns were also raised during the public hearing. I want to clarify, the design that we presented were not to scale. It was just simply to give an idea of what our plan would look like. There's more than enough space on the property for retention ponds, which I believe is a requirement for single-family dwelling. As for tax revenue potential, it was one of the points that we brought up. One of the members suggested that 2 businesses would generate more tax revenue than 3 residential homes. While that's true in theory, the fact is this land sat there undeveloped for more than 3 decades. Also, the nearby warehouse, once again, are vacant. So our plan is to develop the residential properties now. It offers a guaranteed boost to Pearland's tax base with an estimated of $2.5 million in property value. We've had many conversations with our neighbors and our friends, and the consensus is clear. And I don't think that one slide with the in favor and the opposed has been updated, but we've had many conversations. It's clear rezoning to residential makes sense. It's not a wild idea that we threw out there. Pearland is a growing community, and by developing this land for residential homes, we're not just trying to fulfill our own dream, but we're also addressing a broader need for family-friendly living in the city. So I respectfully ask the City Council to consider a different future for this long vacant land, one that I think will benefit our community, bring much-needed development, and help meet the needs of other families like ours. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And with that, we'll move forward in our public hearing to throwing it open to those in the public wishing to speak in favor or opposed to this proposed request. Can go to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Second attempt, those wishing to speak for or against this proposed request. Third and final time, those wishing to speak for or against this proposed request. All right. Seeing no one move in that direction, before we move forward, Mr. Coker, I want to clarify. So we have 5 members of council present, 2 are absent tonight. This received a 0-7 vote from the Planning and Zoning Commission. So it would take a supermajority. A supermajority of City Council is 6 votes, which we don't have 6 votes tonight. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So it's not supermajority of those present and voting. It is total City Council.
It's a supermajority of the entire council, regardless of who's present. And as a result, you're correct. A supermajority, it will require 6 votes to override the recommendation of denial. And so tonight, there's no way this could actually be approved and override that denial. Okay. And even if you did have 6 members here, it would have to be unanimous. And if any one member of council were to vote no, then it would fail. Okay. And again, that's if you had 6. Right. But there's no way it could pass.
We'll go through questions and comments from council. Obviously, the next item is the new business item where we take this up. it might be prudent for us to postpone it, or at least postpone it until Mr. Tooman is here, if he gets here before our meeting is over. Otherwise, I think the fair case would be to put it up in December, unless we know we have a clear negative recommendation from council. We could move forward. But how would we put it on the table if we don't even have enough votes to begin with? These are little house cleaning things that we have to do, but we also want to be procedurally correct.
Putting it on a table is easy as long as it has a second. And even if you had 5 affirmative votes to override that denial, then it would fail.
Okay.
On the other hand, if one person voted no, or even 2 people tonight, then that would have failed even with a full complement of council members.
So when we get to that item, we'll walk through that as we walk through the new item. Throw it open for questions, comments from council. This is the public hearing portion of it. Anybody have a comment or question? Mayor Pro Tem?
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. And I think P&Z got it right. I don't know that residential fits right here with the neighboring uses. I feel for the property owners that bought this without figuring out the zoning. We screw a lot of stuff up here in the city. Our GIS maps are posted online, and they're great. And I wish more realtors and professionals that got paid when you closed pointed you to do the homework, so that you didn't end up owning a piece of property you can't build what you intended on. So that sucks, and I'm sorry, but it's residential is not appropriate right here, and so I think P&Z got it right.
Any other questions, comments? Mr. Patel, were you reaching?
Yes, sir. I was going to echo what Councilmember Carbone said. So,
any other last call? Seeing none, we will close this docketed public hearing and move to new business item number 2. Mr. Byron, would you place that on the table, please?
Consideration possible action, first reading of ordinance number 2000M-263. So moved.
We have a motion and a second. We've had staff report. We've had input from council. Again, this would require a supermajority, so any no vote would concur with planning and zoning. So with that, Madam Secretary, we call for the vote.
Member Byram?
No.
Member Cade?
No.
Member Patel?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Carbone?
No.
Member Chavadilla?
No.
The motion fails 0-5.
All right. With that, we will move to public hearing number 3. Same drill, Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Public hearing number 3, this is a request by Millar Development, LLC, applicant and owner of an approximately 4.9176 acre tract of land at 11950 North Spectrum for approval of an amendment to the required side setback for all corner lots in the LNR Clear Creek Spectrum Plan Development zoning district. General location is the LNR Clear Creek Plan Development, is generally located east and west of Kirby Drive, north of Frugier Road, south of Sam Houston Parkway, and within the following lots: Anderson Hauser, GC Regional Center. Amending plat number 1, Lower Kirby Logistics Park, Tool Flow Business Park, Urban Spectrum replat number 1, Amerlux, MHI amending plat, and Project Heartbeat Campus Phase 2, PL2 Building Park Extension replat, PL2 Building Park Extension 2. Quite a mouthful. So this summary, to provide a real quick summary of it, is essentially affecting the corner lots within the LNR plan development. Currently, corner lots have a 50-foot setback along most of the roadways that are within this overall zoned area. There are some roadways that are not named, and therefore they have different setbacks than your named roads such as Kirby Drive, Spectrum, and the Beltway. The applicant is proposing to provide a lesser setback for those non-named roadways to go from 50 foot to 20 foot. So here you can see there's a variety of uses and zoning districts around this project. Generally, this is within the professional service and industrial future land use future place type. And then, like I said, surrounding uses, manufacturing, machine shops, undeveloped land, et cetera. So looking specifically at Millar's site, so that way you can have a little better idea of what the request is. Normally, this setback would be a 50-foot setback, which eats into the lot about where my cursor is. What they're proposing to do is to take the setback and drop it down to about 20 foot, which takes it just about to where this tree line is. But they are planning for an expansion onto the side of their lot, which is the primary reason for this request. So within the planned development for corner lots, the PD requires 55-foot setback along Kirby Drive, and then 50-foot setback along all other perimeter streets. This is applicable to Hooper Road. And then what the PD also includes is requirements on landscape easements and setbacks. For Kirby Drive, it's a 30-foot. For North and South Spectrum, it's 20-foot. And then all other streets, it is a 25-foot landscape setback. That landscape setback becomes important because one of the suggestions from the Planning and Zoning Commission involves that landscape setback. So know that we'll come back to that. The proposed amendment would reduce the corner lot building setback from 50 foot to 20 foot for roadways that are not named within the planned development. So here we've got a variety of those setbacks provided and showing that 25-foot landscape setback and how it affects or would be drawn out on this property. Again, what the applicant is proposing to do is to allow the building to encroach 5 foot into that required 25-foot landscape easement or setback, with the condition that the building encroachment shall not reduce the required amount of landscaping. So it would reduce the depth, but not the amount of inches or additional shrubs that would be planted within that area. Staff's analysis that meets the criteria for approval for a amendment. Staff recommends approval of the amendment, and then the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended 6-1 to recommend approval of the requested amendment. The one negative vote came from Commissioner Haskins, who wanted to maintain the 25-foot landscape setback since it was a written requirement out of the original LNRPD. With that, Mayor, I'll pass it back to you.
All right, sounds good. Is the applicant present? All right, do you have a presentation tonight?
No.
All right. Always good to see you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Arne Stoker. I'm COO at Millar. Company address was in the presentation. I can repeat that if necessary. Good. Millar is working on several projects that, if approved by the customer, will require significant expansion of the existing building. The expansion would allow us to increase the number of jobs with well over 100. That would be a variety of jobs of manufacturing operators, manufacturing management, and engineers. To allow for sufficient expansion, Millar requests that the building setback is reduced from 50 to 20 feet and that we can approach 5 feet into the landscape easement. Millar will still meet the landscape requirements, and the reduction in setback would not affect the existing sidewalk. and our request only apply to Hooper Road and not to Spectrum Boulevard. That's all.
All right, thank you for that. Obviously, if we have any questions, may call you back up. With that, we will move to those wishing to speak for or against this proposed request. You can go to the podium, give your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Second attempt, those wishing to speak for or against this proposed request. And third and final time, those wishing to speak for or against this proposed request. All right, with that, we'll move to questions, comments, and concerns from City Council. Anybody have any comments? Mayor Pro Tem?
I think this makes sense.
I just wanted to clarify. So the expansion, if we move forward with this approval, they are planning on expanding. Is that correct? Because there was some notes stating that they had not committed.
No, we are currently working with multiple customers on new projects, and depending on approval of those customers, we would expand the building. At this moment, we have no approval of those customers yet, but for us to make the plans and make proposals to these customers, we need to know what is possible to expand. If we cannot expand, we cannot promise customers certain things.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions, comments? Oh, Mr. Patel?
Darren, explain to me, if they get this approval, a setback, is there any clawback if they don't expand we can put in there?
No, there wouldn't be a clawback. This would be a change to other properties as well, and so this wouldn't be specifically just for this company. And even if it was, this is a change to it's a zoning change essentially, and how it impacts the property. So there would be no clawback.
So what other companies are we talking about all along that Hooper Road?
I can't say what other properties specifically. I'll defer to Martin with respect to other properties impacted.
So primarily the other property that is impacted is Lanza Phase 2 with the Fruget Road not being a named road. Potentially, if Welcome Group purchases, I believe Welcome Group did purchase that corner. So Welcome Group, who's the owner of this property here, purchased the corner here, so this would affect the corner of Fruget and Kirby. But also if, I don't remember the name of the property owners here, but if this set of properties were to ever come into the Welcome Group's ownership as well, and they were able to rezone those properties into the LNR through the similar procedures that they have already done, then they would have an ability to utilize this new setback as well.
And I guess any company that's willing to expand the setback would apply to them. They could expand in that new setback.
That's correct.
I guess my concern is we're changing for the whole dynamics of the whole area for one company that's not really committed. Why not wait till they do have a customer? I mean, why are we moving forward that's going to impact so many properties, not just theirs?
I think the question is it something that's good for all? And if it's good for all, we go ahead and approve it. If it's not good for all, then I think that would be your answer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, earlier today, we had a workshop that we're talking about what we want to feel and look like of this corner, right? I mean, in this area. Now you're just getting ready to build buildings right up to the road. And if that's the field, I mean, earlier we told somebody who wanted to build tilt wall buildings, and we said, no, that's not what we want. We want it to feel something special. And so I'm struggling with this because, one, I do want Millard to expand, so please don't take this the wrong way. But at the same time, we don't have anything, and we're just going to go make this change with nothing guaranteed coming.
Any other questions, comments? Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Councilman Patel. I'm fine with all the businesses being able to expand and get more taxable value on the ground out there. I don't know that having that heightened setback with detracts from the area. I'm in favor.
Yeah, especially if you have the landscape buffering done properly and those types of things. Mr. Byram?
Yeah, so to your point, I had a few questions on that. Yeah, that slide you were just on, you read my mind. Go back to that one. Thank you, sir. So I'm having a hard time. I saw the slide that has the various different setbacks laid out on it, but it's kind of hard to understand. So a couple of questions. It looks in here like the expansion, the proposed potential expansion would be within the existing perimeter fence that's already there. Is that correct?
That
Or
would be
that fence
correct.
have to move out?
No, so their existing fence could remain where it is, but this area, and I'm going to pop back and forth just for a moment. That area is right here in this overall map.
Mm-hmm.
So
So they're not looking to expand outside of basically the existing footprint that they're using if you account for the fence. They're staying within the fence perimeter.
correct, they would be staying within that perimeter.
Okay. And my other question there, thank you. You got
I know, I'm right on.
You're on it. I love it. I agree with planning and zoning if we could maintain that landscape setback. Because if we push out past the landscape setback, do we then push the landscaping out further? Because there's going to be required landscaping, which I see there's some out there now. And that concerns me a little bit because if you drive around the city in other areas, you can see where we've got pretty landscaping that was short and not a problem for the overhead lines now. But 15 years from now, we've got trees that look like this because they've grown up into the power lines. So if that's not an issue here now with the way it's done, but if we push that landscape setback closer to those power lines, do we create that problem in the future? I guess my question is, do they have to have, or can they stay behind that setback? Do they need to go to 20 feet? Could they go to 30 feet?
If we would expand the building, as is shown with the blue rectangle there, we would have to move 5 trees, and those 5 trees could be moved in line with existing trees inside our fence line. So we would not have to put trees under power lines, and like you said, we'll have those strange trees in a couple of years from now. So I don't see that as a concern. And as mentioned earlier, we will stay probably around 3 to 5 feet within the current gate or the current fence. So we have plenty of space to move those 5 trees, and we don't see that affecting our requirements to meet the landscape requirements.
Those 5 trees, correct me if I'm wrong, those, I see in your picture there, those 5 trees, those can go anywhere on the property. They don't have to go in that corner, right?
They could be moved on the property.
Okay, great. That's my main concern, as long as, I think we need to get away from planting stuff underneath our power lines as much as possible. So as long as we can prevent that, then these big doors, or yeah, stay under them at a minimum. So, all right, thank you, appreciate it.
All right, any other questions, comments? Yeah, I think the hard part for Millar is they need to know if they can expand their building, and if so, how much, so they can go secure the client. And I understand where Mr. Patel is. If you had it already in a contract, then we could go, but you can't go promise a contract without knowing what you can expand. So it's a chicken and egg scenario. Which comes first? Do you go get the contract in the hopes that you can get it expanded, or go ahead and get an agreement to where you can expand and then go secure a contract? So that's really where that is. And so in a perfect world, you'd already have the contract and we would know that and could move forward. So I appreciate the predicament that we're in. The good news is you're looking at securing additional business, and that we hope that business is coming to Pearland, and so we can take care of it here. Last call for questions, comments.
Sorry, I just had one. I will say I understand and I agree with Member Patel about the earlier conversation today. To me, I think the difference is that the earlier conversation was trying to rezone that property into an industrial warehouse place where it's currently not. And this is already industrial warehouse space. So that's why, in my mind, to answer your question, Member Patel, that's why seems different to me.
All right. With that, we'll close this docketed public hearing and we'll move to new business item number 3. Ms. Cade, would you put that on the table, please?
Yes, Mayor. Consideration and possible action, first reading of ordinance number 2000M-264. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We've had staff report and questions and input from council. With that, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote.
Member Cade?
Aye.
Member Patel?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Carbone?
Aye.
Member Chavadilla?
Aye.
Member Byram?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1.
With that, we'll move to public hearing number 4. Martin, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request by Craig Graham, applicant on behalf of Joseph Koza, owner, for approval of a conditional use permit for a plant nursery use within the light industrial zoning district on approximately 3.03 acres of land. This property is generally located at 2814 Main Street here in Perry. So the applicant is intending to establish a retail landscape business and plant nursery. Applicant proposes to enhance the landscaping along the frontage, install irrigation for their inventory, utilize a 960 square foot office within the main building for their sales and management, and then use the existing metal buildings on site for the inventory items and storage. We've had 3 written in support of this request. Then here is the aerial and zoning of the property. You can see the M1 and that it is within the professional services and industrial future place type classification. And then surrounding uses are the embroidery shop, restaurant, single-family residences across Main Street, and detention across the railroad tracks to the rear of the property. Here you can get a good aerial view of the site. And this is the provided site plan from the applicant. The proposed use in staff's analysis meets the established criteria for approval. With that, staff recommended approval of the requested CUP, and then the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 7-0 to recommend approval. There were no conditions added to their recommendation. With that, Mayor, I'll pass it back to you.
All right, is the applicant present? All right, you have a presentation or just here to answer questions? Okay, if we have questions, we'll certainly call on you, but welcome and thank you for being here tonight. With that, we'll move to those wishing to speak for or against this proposed request. Go to the podium, give us your name and address. You have 3 minutes to speak. Second attempt, those wishing to speak for or against this proposed request. Third and final time, those wishing to speak for or against this proposed request. Seeing no one moving in that direction, we'll turn it open to City Council for questions, comments, concerns. Anyone have anything? Mayor Pro Tem?
I think, I guess I question, why do we need a CUP for a nursery in M1? I mean, it's M1. Everybody, well, we talk about trees a lot, so here's a nursery that's going to have trees and other shrubs and things, at least there, then they're going to be irrigating them to keep them in good shape. So I don't know, maybe just throw that on a list for some at some point with the UDC rewrite. So I certainly don't have an issue with this CUP, but I guess bigger question, why make them jump through the hoops for a nursery in M1? So.
Good comment, and certainly something we can take up in the matrix of the table of uses with the UDC rewrite. I think it's an appropriate use for this particular piece of property, where it's going and the use that it's in. So appreciate him wanting to bring his business into town.
I will say I'm excited about it, so thank you. Yes, I'm very excited, and I hope milkweed, so thank you.
And let it be known, Mr. Koza is trying to help the tree population here in Pearland, so duly noted. With that, we will close this docketed public hearing, and we'll move to new business item number 4. Mr. Patel, would you put that on the table, please?
Yes, Mayor. Considering possible action, resolution R2024-CUP 24-22. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We've had staff report as well as opportunity for questions and comments from council. So with that, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote.
Member Patel,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Carbone,
Aye.
Member Chavia,
Aye.
Member Byram,
Aye.
Member Cade.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0.
All right, thank you for that. That concludes our public hearings. With that, we'll move to new business continued. Ms. Chavarria, would you present item 5, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Consideration possible action, resolution number R 2024-CUP 23-20-1. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and all dashes in between. Staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. So this item, along with the next item, are both they are both associated with extending an existing CUP. So once someone goes through the process of getting a conditional use permit for whatever that use is, they have a year to move forward with that project. If they haven't for whatever reason, but they still intend to move forward, they have to come and get the extension. So, going back to that whole process, we try to give that early, quick yes or no. Is this conditional use going to be okay before they spend a lot of dollars, and then before they go through the process. So these folks have been through the process for various reasons. They haven't been able to get the project started, but still intend to. And so, at this point, they have spent a lot of dollars getting to this point. So I believe on both of them, we have recommended extending these. And I don't know if we have anything to add or present.
Just on the first one, they have submitted for permits. They're working through, they had an unexpected comment and issue come up with BDD4 with draining into a regional facility. So that's what kind of threw an unexpected curveball towards this project. But once BDD4 approves, they will be able to move forward with approval. And I'll cover the second one.
Do we know where they're at with the approval with DD4? I mean, and it is a process. So, I mean, looks like the applicants are present. Are you guys the applicants here? If you don't mind, go to the podium, give us your name and address. We'd love to hear you address that question. Certainly want to work through this process.
So I'm Sydney Rich with DDG, the engineer for the project. A little update on where we're at with the drainage district is we have received their approval of our plans, but as part of their final approval, there is a maintenance plan requirement. Because we're part of a regional detention pond, we have to have one by the owner and then also by the regional detention pond. Shadow Creek has not, this is a relatively new requirement, and Shadow Creek hasn't had a new development since this requirement was put into place. So we're having to work with the maintenance group that maintains that pond to get those agreements in place prior to
Having to work through SCRMA to get that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've seen this in other properties, and it's, it is a new requirement from DD4 to make sure that there's an agreement in place for maintenance along the way. But you're part of SCRMA, which is the commercial HOA in the greater Shadow Creek area. So it's just a matter of probably getting the right paperwork to DD4 is what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a paperwork issue. The actual drainage and detention is all approved.
Okay. Any questions, comments? All right. Seeing none, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote.
Member Chavia,
Aye.
Member Byram,
Aye.
Member Cade,
Aye.
Member Patel,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Carbone.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. With that, we'll move to item number 6. Mr. Carbone, would you present that, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration and possible action, resolution R 2024-CUP 23-19-1. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Staff report on this one as well.
Similar to the last item, Mayor, this is an extension of an existing CUP. And Martin, do we have any additional on the reasons behind this one to add?
Right. So this one, their first tenant backed out of their agreement. So they are looking for a new partner to take on the conditions that were with this approval. They're asking for some additional time in order to find that new partner.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? So is the applicant present? So do you mind going to the podium real quick? It's just to put this on the table. As we have drawings and whatnot that's in here, this is what was approved. So I guess my question would be, if you were to land, do you have anything in the hopper that you can talk about tonight?
So my name is Gordon Jones. I work with Braun Enterprises. We're the real estate developer that purchased and redeveloped the corner lot on the corner of FM 518 and County Road 666. We've developed most of the site already as a multi-tenant retail site, which is mostly fully leased, and businesses are have started to open for business. We had an agreement with a car wash operator and user to build a car wash on that corner. They had submitted the conditional use permit. The deal fell through, and we are actively marketing the site to other car wash users. We think it would be a very good use site for car washes. We do not have anyone currently at the moment, but extending the CUP and having that in hand will certainly help with our marketing efforts and ability to finish the development and complete the project.
Do you happen to know why they dropped? You may not know that question.
My understanding is that during earlier this year, the CEO of the larger car wash group was just visiting sites and made the decision, whether unilaterally or not, to kill the project. So I don't know the reasoning for it. They were pretty far along. They had already submitted and had gotten comments back, I believe, from the permitting department.
So the site plan was submitted and approved, and correct me if I'm wrong, Vance, but the site plan that was submitted along with the CUP is a fixed site plan, correct? So that was submitted by the applicant on behalf of obviously that car wash. So if you land another group, they would have to conform to this to move forward, or they would have to come back in and amend it to their own plan.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So for the council, a little bit different than the one in front of us, is they were working through permitting and a few things on the process. We don't have a car wash group at the table currently, and I understand you're trying to market to it, and I'm trying to set the table efficiently or effectively as to really what's here. So even if they land one tomorrow and their program doesn't fit this, they would be coming back to us. So throw that open for questions and comments from the council. Mr. Patel.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess in the back of my head, I'm thinking there's a reason the CEO decided to cut this, because I don't know how familiar you're with Pearland. I believe by Dairy Queen up the road at Cullen, just a while back ago, we had a CUP come and extend it another year. And I believe the gentleman said he was 99% there, and that house that he needs to demolish is still sitting there. I guess my point is, I agree with the mayor. Why do you want the CUP? Not let it expire and just come back when you do have a contract that we can work through. Like, I'm not in favor of just extending it so you can go market it. And one, to be honest, I'm not in favor of any more car washes in our town.
Any other questions, comments? Mr. Byram?
Yeah, if you go to the last slide of the presentation, at least in our packets, the very last slide, it's the map. to Member Patel's point, I think I recall when we had the last CUP involving a car wash, this map came up and there was some consternation because there's already so many car washes. And this site is right in the middle between two other car washes. So in my mind, I'm wondering if that's why he didn't say, we don't need to put one here, why the CEO didn't back out of it, because you go 3 miles that way or 3 miles the other way and you've got one. I believe I recall, and anybody correct me if I was wrong, we had a little bit of uncertainty about moving forward with the other one because there were already so many. And I think we talked about this one, and there's been a new one built in that area since this one was talked about last time as well. And so I tend to lean the same direction as Member Patel. In my mind, I would think, and you tell me it's your property or you're representing the developer, why not let the CUP expire and then come back with a new idea for that corner rather than be locked into something so narrow?
If I may, it's
Yeah, it's an open question. So yeah, go for it.
purely because having the CUP in hand makes it more enticing for other users to take on a project like this, knowing that that the site has already been approved for a car wash. With our goal of trying to finish the project and develop the site.
Yeah, fair enough. But to Mayor's point, just because it's approved for a car wash doesn't mean that whatever that squeaky duck car wash that we've seen a couple of those come in recently, they don't look like this. So yeah, it's approved for a car wash, but they've got to come in for another variation to it to make it fit their model. So it's a really tight window that you're trying to fit. I don't know what the thing's called.
I don't think
It's probably not squeaky duck, but it's got a duck on it. You get my point. That
Yes, sir. I absolutely do. The approach that we are taking is that that the site has been approved based on the current site plan that y'all have seen and reviewed and approved the first time, and that is what would be passed along and part of the development for any future car wash.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I think what it sets up is they can mark it as a car wash, they get a user, then they come back and say, hey, you already approved it, you extended it, you're cool with it, let's amend the site plan. If there's not votes and we don't like the car wash, let's kill it now. You can still come back later, but it doesn't give you any misconceptions that a car wash is a no-brainer once this is expired.
Right. That's a good point. And I'm all about the market. And my question is, has the market already spoken? This was done for Mr. Car Wash.
Yes, sir.
It's interesting. There's a Mr. Car Wash sign still up on 35 with no construction. So my question is, did Mr. Car Wash decide to leave Pearland because the market's already there? To your point, we already have them. And is the market already speaking? And I think the market will tell us if you come back with another user. Then the market will tell us what's going on. Ms. Chavarid, any follow-up? All right, with that, we'll turn to Madam Secretary for the vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Carbone?
No.
Member Chavarria?
No.
Member Byram?
No.
Member Cade?
No.
Member Patel?
No.
Motion fails 0-5.
All right, thank you for that. And bring something back to us, or if it's not a car wash, we'll certainly welcome your business. You guys have done a fabulous job with the new center. I want to make sure you send that word to the Bronze that they've done a fabulous job. The tenant lineup is looking good, so we appreciate what you're doing in the area.
Okay, thank you all. I understand it, and I appreciate your consideration. Y'all have a nice night. Thanks.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to other business. There was none. Mayor council issues for city council discussion. There was none. We'll move into executive session under Texas Government Code, Section 551.072, deliberations regarding lease, purchase, sale, or exchange of real property, and Section 551.087, deliberations regarding economic development negotiations. We will recess at 7:56. City Council has returned from executive session at 8:33. With that, we will move to new business continued. Number 7, do we have a motion to proceed?
Yes, sir, Mayor. I'll make a motion to move forward with the acquisition of property and reimbursement from EDC agreement in relation to Project 2412 as discussed in executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, call for the vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Carbone?
Aye.
Member Chavia?
Aye.
Member Byram?
Aye.
Member Cade?
Aye.
Member Patel?
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0.
With that, we'll move to number 8. Do we have a motion for it?
Yes, Mayor. I'll make a motion that we accept the donation of property as discussed in executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, call for the vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Carbone?
Aye.
Member Chavia?
Aye.
Member Byram?
Aye.
Member Cade?
Aye.
Member Patel?
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0.
With that, we will move to adjournment at 8:35.